For years, my answer to depression came in little prescription pills. But 2 years ago, I started running and it rewired my brain in a way that pills never did. I ran further and further, pushing all the way to a half marathon, and the further I ran, the clearer my head got. I was hooked. It made me ask a question that sounds almost crazy on the surface, but is running more effective than therapy for mild depression? I looked into the clinical data and what it showed might completely change how you view mental health. When I was on antidepressants, they gave me a baseline to keep me from sinking further. I would describe it as being really stable and calm. But they didn't give me clarity, energy, or the direction that I was looking for in life, and I still felt largely trapped in my own head. So 2 years ago, I laced up my shoes and went for a run looking for an outlet. Even from that very first run, as hard as it was physically, feeling really slow and feeling like my body was quite heavy, I felt so free. It was something I hadn't felt in a long time, which was absolute freedom. There was something profound about the physical act of forward movement. Moving forward made me feel less stuck in my life, like I was getting forward momentum and that mentally I was getting progress. That feeling of liberation hooked me, and I kept running further and further until I was training for my first half marathon. As my mileage grew, I realized that I was getting more energy, I was feeling lighter, I was feeling freer, and my baseline had fundamentally shifted. I was actually excited to get up and go for runs. I never dreaded it. I always looked forward to my next run. Aerobic exercise acts like miracle grow for the brain. It stimulates neuroplasticity and actually helps you grow new brain cells in the hippocampus, which is the part that is affected by depression. So what most people refer to as the runner's high is actually the body's natural endocannabinoids, and they help to reduce systemic anxiety. And I can firsthand attest to that, because when I would wake up in the morning feeling like a pit of anxiety and having no idea why, I would literally just put on my shoes, go for a run, and by the end of the run, I felt completely calm and at peace once again. Now, I'm one of those people who's lucky enough to get a runner's high while I'm running, so it's not like I finish my run and then I feel good about myself. I literally get a runner's high, which is like a tingly sensation all over my body while I'm running, that can last for like a few minutes at a time, and it is the best high I've ever felt in my entire life. Like, it's actually freaking amazing. Some people think this is the body's way of escaping pain, but I can honestly say I was not in pain. Like, I was enjoying every single minute of it, because you've got your favorite music on, you're jogging along, and basically what's happening in your brain is that the forward movement actually signals to your brain safety. It signals to your primitive nervous system that you are escaping danger and there is therefore no threat. So there are several studies to back this up. One of the key findings showed that over 16 weeks of running, it can actually have the same result as mild to moderate depression without the physical side effects. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to cure clinical psychosis, or that, I mean, obviously if you're on medication already, quitting cold turkey is really dangerous, but there are several studies that show that it is equally as beneficial as medication. One study showed that aerobic activity can actually increase the amount of neurotransmitters in the brain, and also it works on you physically because it increases your self-esteem, it increases your energy, and it increases how much vitality and how you feel about yourself and your confidence. So they concluded that it is cheaper, it is more available, and doesn't require any specialist equipment. While another study highlighted that the forward motion associated with running actually genuinely makes people feel like they can achieve their goals easier because they are physically moving forward. I even came across one paper that analyzed all of the studies associated with aerobic activity and the impact psychologically, and it showed that 16 out of the 47 studies showed that runners in particular have lower depression and anxiety, lower stress, higher psychological well-being, and better mood. Now, there were also a further 4 studies that showed that since participating in running, participants had a better emotional well-being, better relief of tension, better self-image, and better self-confidence. While also females that had anxiety had significantly less anxiety if they jogged faster than if they jogged at slower intervals. So we can clearly see that there are a lot of studies that highlight that exercise in particular is massively beneficial for your psychological and mental health. But why running fails for most people is the mental trap. So the studies showed that medication is really easy to take. You literally just take a pill every day, whereas running, of course, requires motivation and discipline, which is, of course, really hard if you're depressed and have zero motivation. And I can attest to that myself. I remember when I was depressed, it was hard to even get off the couch and contemplate running whatsoever, let alone doing any kind of distance running or anything like that. That just felt like such an effort. So if you are starting and you have this idea and you want to feel the benefits of aerobic activity without the side effects of medication, start small. Don't aim for a half marathon. Don't aim for a 10K. Don't even aim for like a 5K or even a 1K. The key to starting running is actually to start in minutes. You don't even think about Ks until you're like down the road. The first, like, excuse the pun, but when you first start, you start like, I remember when I first started running 2 years ago, I literally just did a 5-minute run, like just 5 minutes. That was plenty. And if 5 minutes is feeling like too much, then you could try a 2-minute run or even a 1-minute run or even a 30-second run. Just start where you can. Don't even try and do something that sounds like too much effort. And if running itself sounds like too much effort, start with a walk. Then you can try walk and then run for 30 seconds, walk again, run for 30 seconds. So start with walk, then you try walk, run, and then you try run, and then you try slightly longer running, maybe a minute instead of 30 seconds, or 2 minutes instead of 1 minute. You gradually build up the minutes, and before you know it, you're running for like 10 minutes straight or 15 minutes straight, and then by then you can start to think of building up the distance. But the key is to just start really, really small. Like, don't even try to even overdo it at all. The key with running is consistency, especially when you begin. There's no point going out and tiring yourself out and then doing that once a week. Like, if you want to actually build up your running to the point where you feel the benefits and it gives you energy and you can't wait to go for your next run, you need to be consistent. Like, you need to do it like 3 or 4 times a week, even if it's just for 5 minutes at a time. 5 minutes one day, the next day try 5 minutes again. Maybe miss a day after that, try 5 minutes again. But the key is consistency more than intensity. So in conclusion, medication gave me a floor that I wouldn't fall further down, but running gave me something that I could climb towards. And you never know, you might even discover that you are one of those people who gets a runner's high while you're running as well. You never know, it might be you. I didn't get it. I had no idea I was one of those people who got a runner's high while I was running, because the first time that I started, like, I didn't get it. But the thing about runner's high, I mean, it depends on the conditions. Like, I can make a whole nother video about that, but I do want to say that even if you don't get it the first time, it doesn't mean you're never going to get it. Like, the thing about getting a runner's high, there are ways to increase the odds of it happening. For example, the distance. Some days when I remember when I used to like, it's like some days, I remember some days, like, it would take 45 minutes of continuous running before I would get the runner's high, and I'd be like, oh my god, my whole body's like tingling, oh my gosh, like, and you feel like, oh my god, this is so cool, this feeling. Some days it would take 45 minutes, but then other days I might be 2 minutes into my run and I'll get boom, runner's high, and I just like feel like flooded with like this amazing like tingling sensation. So it can be anything from 2 minutes to 45 minutes. Another thing that helps with getting the runner's high is also no pressure. Don't run under pressure. Don't force yourself. Just let it go. Like, let it all go and just relax into the run, and then you're more likely to get the runner's high. But you never know, you might discover that you too are one of those people who gets a runner's high, and you had no idea until now.